Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitch Start Podcast channel. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP, and welcome to the episode 38 of the Pitch Start Podcast. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, of course. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from this podcast and other content on this channel. Follow us on social media. I'm at PSP on Twitter, Pitch Start Pod on Instagram, and you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you can get it from, or catch it later at www.webreathesports.com. Of course, it's a big Wednesday, of course. It's all about the big matches in Italy and in England. And we're going to be starting off talking about the Serie A round 16. Let's, of course, make a quick rundown of the match card first. Cagliari hosts Benevento, that's the 12:30 kickoff. Torino hosting Verona. Sassuolo hosting Genoa, coming off the loss against Atalanta 5-1 last time out. Sampdoria hosting Inter Milan, very interesting game for Antonio Conte's Inter. Lazio, of course, hosting Fiorentina. Crotone hosting Roma. Then, of course, Bologna hosting Udinese. Atalanta, Parma. Napoli hosting Spezia, that's at 6 p.m. And, of course, the big game between Milan and Juventus. All eyes are on that fixture at the San Siro between Piore's AC Milan and Juventus's Andrea Pirlo. Of course, excuse me, on the thumbnail, it's inverted. It's AC Milan who hosts Juve, actually, not the other way around. So probably it should be fixed in the eventual thumbnail, hopefully, because I made a mistake in that. Anyway. Let's kick off talking and previewing sort of this game, of course, AC Milan Juventus. I think not different motives, but certainly different paths in this season so far. AC Milan have been coming off the back of a strong season. They've been in the best form possible. 2020 has been their year in Italy, really. Yes, Juventus won the Serie A, but it has been AC Milan's year. Last year, the 12 months, particularly post-restart, they have been tremendous. They just turn things around pretty quickly in Serie A. They revitalised themselves, of course, and with the return of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, they really went to another level pretty much. They just changed so much and they made it, big time in Serie A, undefeated now in 30. And, of course, they're heading into this game looking to make it 31. Actually, they're going to make it 32, in fact, because the last game against Genoa was the 31 game where they're undefeated. Juventus, on the other hand, they haven't been convincing this season or in the last 12 months as a whole. They haven't been convincing for a while, even. I mean, even maybe longer than that. Their season have been up and down. Of course, unconvincing under Pirlo, not a proper tactic, not a proper formation. There's no stability in shape. There's not really stability in even choosing the personnel, of course, for different considerations, injuries, COVID, what have you. But everybody, I think, agrees that Andrea Pirlo hadn't found the formula yet. He hadn't found something that clicks. He tried a lot of things. And, we're waiting, and he's waiting on what is going to happen, really, in that game. He's waiting, of course, to see how his side is going to be clicking, because the expectations around him are really not that low, but still, Andrea Pirlo isn't convincing anyone of how he's deserving, probably, to stay at the helm of Juventus. The form, of course, of the form of both sides, of course, heading into this game is pretty clearly different, of course. AC Milan, as we mentioned, undefeated for 31 games in a row now. The last 5, they had 2 bad draws, I would say, against Parma and against Genoa away, where in both cases they had to save themselves in the last moment from losing, or they have to seal the win in the last moment. It is hard, really, to believe that. And, of course, the injuries to Benasser, to Ibrahimovic, of course, make it hard for AC Milan to deal with those games. And certainly the lack of those kind of players isn't exactly the best thing you can expect in terms of having a good season. But they made it without them. They're still winning, they're still getting points without them, they're still scoring goals without them. Rafael Leao stepped up. Theo Hernandez, of course, I think he is the best player in Milan this season. I know there's Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he scored goals and all, but I think Theo Hernandez is the best player in AC Milan. He saves them, he's the key to their success in my opinion. He opens up a lot of problems when things are closed down for Milan. And he's just an overall brilliant left back, an overall amazing player this season. Now, what's at stake in this game? You probably, you saw the title and you're probably going to say, is it really a title decider? We're talking round 16 here, like we still didn't even hit halfway through the season. Well, if you check out the table, of course, AC Milan now are 10 points ahead of Juventus. Okay, if they win, it becomes 13 points ahead of Juventus, which is, by any means, by any stretch necessary, is a big gap. Now, could Juventus close down that gap? If it happens, it remains to be seen. I don't think under this system of Pirlo, they are able to do that, or they're able to cope with the fact that they're going to be behind 13 points from AC Milan. Now, are Juventus favourites for this one? My clear answer is no. I don't think they are favourites. I don't see them having any advantage over AC Milan, even with the injuries that AC Milan would have in the game, considering that they're going to be potentially missing 2 to 3 players. Of course, Ibrahimovic is going to be still injured. Benacer is going to be injured. They have Tonali suspended, of course, who was sent off against Benevento last time out. Alexis Salmakis, of course, is injured as well, and Gabi is injured as well. So there's a couple of injuries that are going to be important and crucial to that AC Milan squad. But still, I think in the last couple of games they missed those as well. Of course, aside from Tonali's suspension, but I think they missed the other 4 in the last couple of games, and they still dealt with it. For Juventus, I don't think even with those injuries that they have any kind of advantage over AC Milan in that game. I don't think that they can force advantages over AC Milan despite the injuries that the Rossoneri have. Again, is it this game a title decider when we are too early in the season to say? I don't think so. I don't think that we could say that Juventus will lose the title if they lose against AC Milan tonight. And in a season, of course, where it seems like all the eyes are on AC Milan as favourites, and all the eyes are on them after the run that they had for the last 7, 8 to 9 months, also probably they can extend it to 10 months maybe. I would say this game is crucial for them. This game is probably the test for AC Milan. I mean, they already played the derby and they won, but I think that the Conte's Inter at that time were not that good even. So you expect AC Milan to enter this game against Juventus and to consider this game the actual test instead of the other games that they played, even against the likes of Lazio or Atalanta, who they still haven't played this season. Consider it as a test. Now, who I think will win? I think probably it will be. I might go for a draw. I actually might go for a draw. I think AC Milan, with the injuries that they have again, I might think that they will slightly be a little bit more conservative against Juventus. Even with the unconvincing nature of Juventus, they still have a lot of good players and they still hit you and be dangerous. And of course, on the head of that list of good players is Cristiano Ronaldo, who just broke Pele's record of 758 goals, at least the official record. There's a dispute about that, but that's what the record books will say for the moment. The official record books will say anyway. So elsewhere, of course, in Serie A, as we mentioned before, Atalanta hosting Parma, coming off the back of a 5 1 win against Sassuolo, another side who impressed this season. Napoli hosting Spezia, easy game for them. Bologna hosting Udinese in a bottom of the table clash. Crotone hosting Roma, an easy game probably for Roma that they should win in order to keep up with the top table, considering that, of course, they are third, and the result is going to be pretty good for them. They could close down the gap behind Juventus at third. In Conte's Inter as well, they could really go behind, or maybe go top of the table depending on the result in that game between Juventus and AC Milan. Sassuolo again hosting Genoa, hopefully to return to the winning ways after the loss against Atalanta 5-1 last time out. Torino, Verona, of course, Torino wanting to avoid relegation and wanting to start picking up a little bit of momentum, and Cagliari hosting Benevento. That's the kickoff game as well. A reminder of the table in Serie A before we go to that fixture. Milan 37 points, Inter 36, 30 for Roma, Napoli 30, 28, 27 for Juventus at 5th, 36 Sassuolo, 25 for Atalanta, 23 for Verona, 22 for Lazio, 18 Benevento, 17 Sampdoria, 16 Bologna, 15 for Udinese, 15 for Fiorentina, 14 points for Cagliari, 12 for Parma, Torino 11, as well as Spezia and Genoa. And the bottom of the table, there is Crotone with 9 points. Moving on, and we don't only have Serie A action, of course, when we also have the second semi-final of the EFL Cup / Carabao Cup between Manchester United and Manchester City. Of course, this game was in a big doubt following the events in the last couple of days where Manchester City got COVID cases raising and the whole postponement of the game against Everton in the Premier League and what have you. But then, and there was that with the City's game against Chelsea, but in the end, of course, it was played as we saw, and they demolished Chelsea, and they put Lampard in the hot seat, as we mentioned yesterday. You can check out that episode if you didn't check it out. This is the second semi-final, of course, and the Manchester derby, and the winner, of course, is going to be meeting Tottenham, who defeated Brentford yesterday 2-0. If you didn't check out my review for that game, go and check it out, really. I'm not going to repeat myself really here, but basically Tottenham won the Tottenham way. They defeated Brentford by parking the bus and by being super defensive and by being really tight and killing them on the counter. That's it. This game between Man United and Man City, of course, after the derby in the Premier League, ended in a draw. This is not going to end in a draw, and this is a one tie game, of course, a one match game, and it's happening at Old Trafford. So, does it give United any advantage? Probably no, but I guess it will count as a home game for them, even if it is a one match tie and it's not going to be played on both legs. For Man United and Man City, I think this is two sides, I think, on a collision course. I really like when these games come like that. Like two sides are in a good form, great form, and they collide with each other in a big semi-final or a big final. United and Man City, I think they've been hitting their stride this season. They've been really, hitting their form. Both sides with only one draw in the last 5, and been impressive overall. Man City, of course, becoming more impressive defensively, with the partnership between Ruben Dias and John Stones really being all sorts of fruitful, giving Man City that defensive solidity that they missed in the last season or a couple of seasons as well under Guardiola. Guardiola himself maturing and becoming more tactically, let's say, no, I'm not going to say tactically apt because that is going to be an insult for someone like Guardiola with his CV, but I think he became more aware of some of his priorities in the Premier League at the moment, and some of his priorities overall. He prioritising defence now, over committing in the attack, so to speak. Now he uses his players better. Probably he gave a freedom to a couple of players to have some extra roles, like Ilkay Gundogan in the last game against Chelsea. He decided to improve the use of some players. Kevin De Bruyne as a full striker, really, it worked pretty much. His movement was superb in that game, and he scored a goal and made an assist, of course. And you have, the defensive solidity, which is the biggest improvement in Man City this season. With Ruben Dias and John Stones. Ruben Dias, instantly adding the leadership effect. Just like Van Dijk did when he came into the Liverpool ranks back in a couple of years ago. Now, that improvement came at a price for Man City. Obviously, it came at the price of being slightly more effective when scoring goals. They didn't win that lot in the Premier League by a bigger margin. It was already a problem even in the start of the season where they seemed wobbly and shaky. But even so, like over all the season, Man City only won one match by more than 3 goals. They only won one match by more than 3 goals this season. They only defeated Burnley by 5-0, and this is, I think, the only perfect game for them this season, where they just scored a lot of goals and defended well, because they either defend well or they either score a lot of goals. This season they managed to do both some sorts. Also undefeated since the Tottenham game in November, which is a good thing, which is a plus. It gives them momentum. It keeps them going. They scored 24 goals a season, which is a low bar, I think, for City. Again, when you think how prominent they could be and how strong the attack could be, but also the absence for Aguero for a long time for injury. Jesus being doubtful, being not really that good in terms of scoring goal. Raheem Sterling still not finding his form. So they decided to use Kevin De Bruyne as a false 9, Phil Foden as a false 9, Riyad Mahrez as a false 9. Guardiola changed a lot of things this season in order to come around that problem of scoring. But when you have a strong defense now, and you will not think about scoring a lot of goals, you just know that your players are too much quality and they will get some chances and they will score. Looking at the other camp and looking at Man United this season, they have made a tremendous turnaround, I would say. They have made a tremendous U-turn in their forms this season. They are undefeated since that game against Leipzig in the Champions League, if you want to look at it from a Premier League perspective. The last defeat in the Premier League was against Arsenal. That was in November. It was in November, the 1st of November 2020, and they're on a good run as well. But also when you consider the fact that they had three Champions League games defeats in between, it doesn't exactly strike you as a brilliant form. But taking into contest the Premier League as a whole, as a competition on its own, Man United have hit the best form of this season, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has saved his place and then some. He's confident now. He tries to play it down as well, that they're not title contenders yet, although they're joint top with Liverpool. They are not title contenders yet. They still have something to play. They still have something to prove as far as this being deserved of being called title contenders this season, because they still have, I think, that crucial game looming in the horizon, as we mentioned, against Liverpool on January 17th. They have a big advantage over Liverpool, the fact that they will play the game in hand on January 12th against Burnley. And this is a game where you expect United to be good and come good to their senses and win that game considerably. That game is going to be probably the title decider for them, so they would think about that as well. But as far as this game is concerned against Manchester City, you're probably going to see the old Solskjaer, because United have been impressive as of late in terms of attacking and scoring, creating chances. But you might see the old Ole return. The Ole where he just barks the bus and plays on the counter. But for some reason, he just knows how to deal with those big games. He just knows how to deal with the bigger opponents, quote unquote, in the likes of City and Liverpool. He was the only man who got points out of Liverpool before they get defeated, which is still, I think, an achievement for him in some sorts, until he wins the Premier League. Again, just to finish and just to round up, any game better than the league derby that we had that ended 0-0, that warfest of a match that we had, is going to be better than that. Anything, just anything. Like, give us a lot of shots on target and we'll not complain. But still, I think this is going to be a very intriguing game for a lot of reasons. Again, from the time that those clubs played each other in the Premier League back in December, there is a lot of things happened. I think a lot of maturity for both sides. Tactically, Guardiola changed, Solskjaer changed, both clubs improved their positions, I would say, and now they're entering again on a collision course, heading into the semi-final of the EFL Cup. The winner is going to be facing Tottenham, so that is going to be interesting to see. The game is going to be in April, so in the space of 4 months, there's a lot of changes that could happen as well. There's Champions League in between, Europa League in between for United, so you don't know exactly what is going to be the situation for those clubs. Then, again, hopefully we see an interesting game in the end. That's what we want. Anything better than the league match we had, anything better than that warfest of a draw, I will accept it. To finish off, of course, we're going to be talking about La Liga now. Of course, if you're thinking, is there a Liga action today? Yes, there is, but there's only one match, of course. But that match is a big match in its nature, of course. Athletic Bilbao hosting Barcelona for a rescheduled match from round 2 in La Liga. Barcelona now entered this game, of course, after a win against Huesca. It wasn't the most comfortable of win, or not the biggest margin possible, but they still made it, and it was a win nonetheless. And they come out of this game, I think, with the on-pitch situation doesn't matter as big as the off-pitch situation. And the reports are just intensifying in the last couple of weeks, of course, about, the relationship between Messi and Ter Stegen. There were reports back a couple of weeks ago suggesting that he had the bust-up with Ter Stegen because he didn't vote for him in the FIFA Best Awards. The statements of Koeman, who is slightly complaining about the fact that they don't have a number 9. In case you forgot, really, he kicked out Suarez from the club in the summer when he came, so he doesn't really have the right to complain about not having a 9 when you kick off Suarez, who could be used as a number 9. If you didn't know Ronald Koeman, he is a striker. When your attackers fail to score, when Griezmann, Braithwaite, Trincao and Dembele combined score 7, and Suarez on his own scores 9 for Atletico Madrid, and he spent a lot of time injured as well at Atletico Madrid. He didn't exactly play all of the games. You really should be ashamed of yourself. You're probably given the key for the title. I saw this a lot. Obviously, history might repeat itself, but the last time they sold the striker on a free for Atletico, it was David Villa, and Atletico Madrid won the league back in 2013-14. And David Villa ended the top scorer of La Liga, if you forget about that. So it has to be said that Barcelona are not in the mood now for losing, basically. They're not in the mood for having another bad result this season. This season has been so much up and down, that you don't really think of Barcelona as this. You don't just watch Barcelona on the pitch and you just suspend your disbelief, so to speak, and you just put them into the on-field context on its own. You need to think about the whole presidential election situation, the financial problems that they're going to have. Is Messi going to leave in the summer or not? How they're going to be buying players, if they're going to be buying players. How is going to be the situation at the club come March, come April, come the summer. The presidential candidates, of course, really are coming, thick and fast, really trying to, to win the fans' liking, so to speak. Victor Font is here. Of course, there is Augusti Benedetto as well. Laporte. There is Laporte, of course. Juan Laporte, the former president actually of Barcelona, who is trying to run for presidency as well. So there's a whole host of problems that you need to think about before considering Barcelona's on-pitch sort of performance. In a game against Athletic Bilbao, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really, really tough to cope with. This is not Huesca. This is an upgrade of Huesca. I think they're a better club. Yes, they're unfortunate this season to be in a pretty low position for their ilk. Of course, 9th on the table with 21 points. They would love to return to European football one day after a couple of seasons in the shadows. They will try, of course, and spoil the party for Barcelona. I mean, it wasn't a party really to begin with. Again, Barcelona's season have been so bad and so messy with why, not pun intended, that it doesn't look like they are favourites in any game they play. Realistically speaking, like, how do you look at Barcelona and you say they are favourites or they have the advantage to win any game? Probably the positive about this, that if they win, they go on to become third, which is a good thing, of course, and it does really, at least it would give them some sort of solicitation, some sort of momentum, because they still have another game in hand. They will leap over Sociedad in third. If they don't, that is going to be another disastrous result. That's it. I reckon it will be a tough game. Koeman, of course, hopefully he doesn't make some crazy sort of tactics for this game. He doesn't start with 3-6-1 or something. He does that. But again, with Messi in the side, I don't think he's going to be making any kind of crazy tactical changes. That is. Anyway, that's the end of our episode, of course. Thank you for watching / listening. If you like, share, comment on this video, subscribe to the channel, most importantly, enable notifications to receive all the updates of this podcast and other content on this channel. I will be doing, I'll be doing probably I'm pulling a double duty. I'll be doing Juve Milan, and I'll be doing the United City semi-final. I'll be doing both of those matches, hopefully in a back-to-back sort of mod, reviewing them. Follow us on social media, SeriePSB. I'm on Twitter there, PitchSidePod on Instagram. Listen to the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you can get it from. And as well, catch it on www.webreadsports.com. There, I write articles there as well, so that might interest you. I was your boy, the HOD of the PSB, and until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.